Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. It's been a while since we have sat down and done a podcast. Since then, we have been contemplating on how we like to revise and revamp our introduction, our name.
The Johnsons.
I mean, that's not with the direction I'm feeling. We did have unusual conversations, health, wealth,
Investing in
mindset, health, and wealth.
Which was a tongue twister.
We like all those topics, but see, then those topics really revolve around your interest, which is finance.
I like guns.
I like beauty. I like health. I like plants. I like
trading.
Traveling. I like talking about brain health and fitness.
Like cannabis. Love it. On my soul. Rolling paper.
So, we want to be able to have it where we both
talk about everything
fun.
Under the sun,
and we have fun. We want to keep it fun. I personally like to be on set, like have scenes and be doing things. He likes to more so sit at a table and have it talking.
Open discussion.
Which I don't mind that either.
Because I believe when everybody comes to a table and you get different perspectives, everybody gets enlightened. You share things. You share stories. You can use it to inspire and guide another person's path. And nobody's path is alike. What was we talking about earlier with, if you don't do it today, what is your expectations for the future? Right?
So, yeah, it was like, so I'll use this example. If
it was pertaining to health. You
say, ooh, I don't do squats. Oh, it's too hard. Squats is hard. It was hard for me to walk a mile. I don't do that. I don't do squats. I don't do lunges because that's too hard. And then it's like, well, if it's hard for you now and you don't work on it, why do you? You don't have to be hard. And if it's hard for you now and you don't do anything to correct to make it easier, what would be your expectations for that in the future?
Right.
Like, where would you think that's going to lead you?
If you think you need to lose weight now, how do you think you're going to, you don't
even
try?
Financially, if you are saying to yourself, I need to save money right now. I need to do this now. And you don't. Right. You have whatever excuses, whatever reasons, however you want to label it. I'm not judging. I'm just saying whatever.
Life happens, but
whatever it would be. Regardless, see, this is what people.
The excuses people tell themselves, because at the end of the day, it should be about the solutions.
Everything is life happens.
It should always be about the solutions, not the problems. It's about the solutions and improvement and getting that 1% better than yesterday. Yes. So it's people being in their own way. When you know you have to do something and you put it off, like what is your expectations?
I mean, but that kind of
let's save it. Like, oh, we know we gotta save money. We know we should be saving money. Okay, if you don't do it, what is your expectations for 3 months from now? Come Christmas, things like that. You know. Speaking of which, Christmas is right around the corner. It got cold quick. We went. Straight through summer. Didn't really have a spring, but yeah.
Yeah, so I just think that we have to think about that and know that,
What are our expectations with our farm?
Well, my expectations would be to continue to progressively move forward and not make an excuse. In my mind, I would say, despite you, like how you said, life happens. Mm-hmm. And I think, well, that is life. That's what life is. It's happening. For people to say that, it's kind of like, what? Yeah. Secondly,
it's happening.
Anyway, you can have many reasons in spite of, and despite, whatever. It doesn't even matter. You still have to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, whether you have, like if somebody says, I'm poor, and I'm like, that is not even, that's like a state of mind, I think. I'm like, what do you mean poor? Poor meaning like, anyway.
But that that goes into a topic where it's all perspective, right? Because it's all perspective, right?
It's a state of mind. If you have a cell phone and things like that, ain't nobody poor. Poverty is what's real. Being poor, to me, that's temporary. That's a state of mind.
Poor is a state of mind. Poverty is real. But at the same time, it's also exposure and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody is not coming from the west side of Chicago, what did I say when I first?
But if you say you're poor and you don't do anything, it could become poverty.
But no, let's just use this.
Yes.
When I first came to the country, and when most people come from the city up to this area, they'll be like, man, we ain't no black people live like this. All the time. Black people live like this?
And I'm like, they don't? Where don't they live like this at?
Right. But see,
that would be my perspective. I'm like, where don't they live like this
But
at?
see, that's a perspective and also exposure. So it's a state of mind, right? It's a mind state, but it's also exposure and environment. But that also leads to another thing. There are different types of blacks. It's different types of blacks.
Well, there's different types of whites, different types of Asians, but I got you. But we're specifically going to speak on our culture.
Right.
So just to clarify that we understand that there are different types of everyone.
Right. But
although we are going to primarily speak on our culture.
And so they understand that. It's levels. It's different. It's black.
I mean,
like
it's different.
When I got introduced to you,
different bubbles.
When we crossed paths, it was like, black people really live like that. And when you was like, wow,
you all really have to live like that,
right? So,
or in my mind, and then I'm thinking to myself though too, do you have to, or are you choosing to?
Right.
Because I don't know. I mean,
it was.
I wouldn't know. It's like,
again,
is this what you're forced to live?
It's conditioning and exposure. When we met each other, we went on Lake in Laramie, and we went to the little restaurant, Sonny's, right? And we ordering through the glass, and she say, "Why are we ordering through the bulletproof glass?"
I don't think I said it like that.
Well, you said something. You was like.
It was just very.
It seemed awkward. And somebody was like,
they were rude, unpleasant.
They were like, "Where you from?" And in my head, I'm like, "Hey, you can't say that. You got Michigan plates, things like that. Being where we at." But I'm like, she with me, whatever. But just that type of thing. That's you've never had to experience that. And to me, that's normal.
But see, this is the thing too.
You can't really say mind state.
I've never really had to, but I also choose not to. Because I don't necessarily think that's a pleasant way to experience things.
What, to order food?
Well, to any type of experience, whether I'm ordering food, whether I'm in, and this is
because that's foreign to you.
But no, why would I want to be in an environment? I don't want to walk into an establishment or be in an environment where everybody has to be protected. I'm good on that. I'm okay with that. Like, why that's no place for me. I don't want to walk into a room or building where everybody feels the need to protect themselves and have plexiglass and be protecting them from the other people that's in there.
2021.
That's not my environment.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm like, well, that's not the environment for me. I choose to remove myself from that and be surrounded into a different environment.
I definitely, it was just perspective because I didn't know nothing different. That's how we got our food unless you go to the grocery store,
right?
Or a sit down restaurant.
Down here you picking food off of trees and
eating
out of bushes
and everything. Real apples. What's this? We eat deer.
It's different.
It's turkey season.
I definitely would say based on where you live, how you grow up or something, it's the experiences of being
black.
Black is different.
It's different.
I would never want to, and I it's heartbreaking because I would never want to experience being black growing up the way you experienced being black growing up. I feel like wow, why would anybody have to go? That's horrible.
Yeah, so
that's horrible.
A lot of people don't know, like,
why would you want to?
In our neighborhood, police would come to the windows with the gun out. As soon as they pulled you over, that was just normal. It took me meeting cops as I got older, knowing like, oh, that shit is not normal. Like, oh, that's actually not procedure. Oh, okay, I guess that's just what they do on the west side. Like, you was used to it. Certain different things. I mean, getting followed in Walgreens, but neither here nor there. It's all perspective. It's all perspective when it comes down to it, and it's exposure because a lot of people, ignorance is not necessarily. It can be bliss, and it can be also a jail, an invisible jail.
So let me ask you this: we talked about how we our first opening conversation, right?
The banana.
No. When we talked about open up the podcast,
Yeah.
what was our first opening conversation?
On what we should call it.
No, about what we were talking about. How people, if you don't do something,
today.
so so it gets me back to like the environment and how you grew up and how it manifested, and it's like I don't understand. Well, like people, why would somebody think that was going to turn out to be a good long term environment for everybody?
I don't know.
Okay, so you can be in an environment and you could say, like, if you don't plant trees, if you cut down all the trees and you don't plant trees, like, what do you think it's going to look like in 10, 20 years from now?
Right.
Like, hello.
It's gonna look like
there ain't no trees.
It's gonna look like a subdivision.
So, right.
Right.
So you think like if you never leave your area, or if you don't try to be nice to people, if you're not being friendly to your neighbors, like what do you think the environment's going to be like in 5 or 10 years from now? And
well,
then,
you gotta have a foresight. You gotta have if you have expectations, you also gotta work backwards, because in order to reach the expectations, you gotta know what it's going to take.
Okay, but if you
I think a lot of people get lost and caught in doing the application, and which is why I'm a strong believer. Knowledge is great. That's awesome, right? It's empowering. You can share it, but it ain't shit without application. At the end of the day, it's about results. Did you do it? Are you applying it?
Because if you live in a neighborhood, and you live in a neighborhood and you say results and apply. If you live in a neighborhood and in your neighborhood you grew up there, and your parents grew up there, right? So everybody in the neighborhood is everybody that knew each other. But if the neighborhood is so bad, how did it get so bad if everybody in the neighborhood has always been in the neighborhood? You get older people that's been in the neighborhood trying to save the neighborhood. It's like, well, why are you trying to save the neighborhood from the shit from the stuff you created when you were a kid?
You have demons that also get passed on, that are hereditary. Demons get passed on. So people are passing on,
they're not addressing
and they're not addressing it. Period. Point blank. So now it becomes oh, don't mess with the Johnsons. They known for this. Don't mess with the Watkins. You know, shit like that. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it still is exposure and perspective. But in order to have the expectations, you gotta know what it's gonna take to do it. Because I mean, once again, I wasn't exposed to Caucasian people until I was in high school. So it was a mental shift too, because I'm coming home and I see my people and how we struggling. But when I go to high school, I'm going up north, and it's like, oh my God, like this is nice.
I mean, fair
kids
enough.
Driving BMWs, it's like
fair enough. I'm sure you grew up in. Chicago definitely is segregated.
But that's neither here nor there. Where I am now, my whole
because you see people driving that here now. You see kids of all cultures riding around with BMWs and nice cars.
This is a country, but I also see it's weird because I see a different side of America too, and I see things like it's you see the propaganda.
Oh yeah.
You see
the propaganda from here to there.
Yeah,
like
from there to here. Like you see the system, you see it, and it's like, man, you know, I'm grateful that I see it, but it's also I have to do things like this to get it out. Because the reason for this episode is
it's chess, not chess.
Yeah, the reason for this episode, a lot of people reached out and said, "Hey, man, we want to hear more like." You and your wife's story. They need to see black people living.
It's crazy because, when people say I want to hear your story, I think of it like
you gotta come kick it with me.
Yeah, like it's like because
I'm better in real life.
I mean, everybody has a story, and I mean, I definitely can say I feel like I have a unique story, and probably Yeah, I mean, different than most, like, as everybody. Probably some things I've experienced that people wouldn't even expect. Wouldn't even expect.
Yeah, it's odd because we're more like open with each other, but naturally with the world we're kind of like tight knit. Wouldn't say we introverts, but at the same time we not extroverts. So,
I mean, it's very. I know if I get emotional, and I definitely don't feel like getting all choked up during the podcast. So I would be more comfortable getting intimate with my story, deep personal in person,
right?
As opposed to, but I mean, I'm from a small village in Cassopolis. Yeah.
Y'all kick it.
Started off there.
Y'all kick it.
Kick it?
Y'all kick it.
If that's what you say, like we grew up with hay rides and Halloween parties, and I mean, I did church plays and Christmas and Easter and all that. I was in the choir. We had bonfires and I mean, we have family parties if that's what you want to call it. We have fish game nights.
The vibe is different. It's different, but
we love each other.
Yeah.
We don't let each other.
It's different.
We don't let each other.
It's
have
a whole different, and it's different. It's love. Love is love, and that's taught me a lot because love is love, and it's free. It's free. Yeah, I think that's what stopped a lot of people because in Chicago, a lot of people don't speak. Here we speak, we talk, say things, and we mean it. You know?
And then you said love is love. It's like people are so afraid to be human, but everybody wants to be human. And being human is feeling all those things that you talk about makes you human. It's feeling love and feeling heartbreak and being sad and being happy, being confused and figuring it out and getting your feelings hurt and learning how to grow and adjust through those emotions and learning how to be okay with feeling those things and learning that those things help you, they enlighten you, they enrich you. It's more than one of us. That's why we need each other.
We all we got.
You know, reaching out to people, saying how you feel to someone or how the situation. I see a lot of people, and I'm like, one thing, I lost my child. And that definitely opened my mind and my heart into understanding, because I was a feeling, and it made me realize, like, these feelings are important to experience. These feelings are needed to be human and to grow and to evolve and to have emotionally, mentally, you need these feelings. You need to let yourself experience those feelings.
It's called experiencing life.
Yeah, people run from it. People only want to experience what they want.
People run from themselves.
People only think life is supposed to be what they read or what they see on a TV or a movie. And that's only the good. That's only the euphoric aspect of it. That's only the profitable part.
All actors on the world stage or the world stage.
And it's like life. It's okay. Life can be. You can cry. Life can have some tears, and life can have some laughs, and life can have some confusions.
Also,
and it's all good.
Life on the flip side.
But that's all good.
That's all good. It's all good on the flip side, and life is also gonna be what you make it to.
Always, I wrote that in my senior book. Life is what you make it. That was my motto. So, life is what you make it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You can only be you, baby.
Everything is what you make it, though. It's all
mental.
It's all what you allow it to be. And it's to be great. Life is never meant to tear you down. It's only meant to build you up. You only go through things to grow and to become stronger.
You gotta go through the seasons.
That's why you go through this. You don't go through things to become weaker. You don't go
Trees
through things.
Go through the seasons to keep growing.
To get stronger and to get more rings and to get taller and more resilient. And that's the same thing with us. So,
what Bruce Lee say, be like water, be like tree. Be like tree. Stay in the weather. Get stronger, get more rooted, get more deeply rooted, and keep growing.
Keep growing.
Hey, I like that.
You'll be around for a lot longer.
Oh, God.
You'll be around for a lot longer.
You can only be you.
You can only be you, baby.